Hello, teacher Stephen. This is Thomas Lolas, and I am about to present to you the third assessment, strategies and tools of data collection. Let's begin with the first slide, potential data strategy. I have divided this segment in 5 parts, which are survey design, um, selection of participants, distribution of my survey, promote participation, and data analysis. So the first one is that I will start by defining the objectives of my investigation and the research question I want to solve after this process with the participants of the survey. Then elaborate the question with closed and open-ended questions. So I can frame a set of predefined answers that help me understand students' prior knowledge upon mobile technology if they have used it in the English class. And whereas open questions allow students to integrate descriptions and reflections so they can elaborate further. Selection of participants. My target audience, as you have known during this whole process, is 12th graders. But in this survey, I want to integrate both courses. There are two 12th grades, so it will be fine if both can answer it. In regards of the distribution of the survey, it can be both printed or digitally delivered, but I prefer it to be digital because it is more related to the topic of the investigation, and applications such as Google Forms and SurveyMonkey are practical and easy to use, to develop, and to answer as well. Foremostly, they don't require deep interaction, between me and the students. So the real English teacher can quick and easily send the survey to their course WhatsApp group or individual emails as the teacher will. In regards of the participation, I will explain that the students, the importance of their participation in regards of how their answers can contribute the development of more student-centered approaches by being assisted by mobile technologies, such as using apps like Kahoot or Socrative, which can make a class very didactic, or at least much more than I have seen them by far now. And to do so, the teacher might offer some tenths or extra points for evaluations if the students are not willing very much to answer them. So they will have something in turn. Also, the teacher or me should give students a deadline. So in this case, could be the same day I give them the survey. It could be the whole day, or at least that they can send it to me before I see them again the following week. And now, to close this part, the analysis. Once I gather all the answers, I will realize a quantitative analysis of closed questions whose kinds I am not very familiar with. Uh, and same with open-ended questions. I will analyze if I find patterns in common between answers at first with one course and then compare if there are differences, similarities with both. Because probably the two courses have had different experiences and I have observed class only in one of them. So I cannot discard anything. Now we can proceed with the data collection tools. Take a look to the phrase I have above. Um, in the first place, the decision that drove me to use iSurvey as my overall data collection tool came from non-participant observation in class as an observer, as the practitioner. So after some weeks of watching students, the first 4 weeks, which will be a month, students oftenly prefer to be on the cell phone rather than copying and pasting in their notebooks what the teacher was writing or doing exercises, which most of the time, at least during these first weeks, were individual. Um, Though I have previously mentioned that my survey contains closed and open questions, which results in a mixed method, my overall scheme searched from a qualitative triangulation in which I have observed a lot of unengaged students, not very excited with the class, and the teacher who sometimes will react very irritated or just will not mind at all whether students will spend time supporting the class or being on the phone. I have to question myself, why don't we use the cell phone as a tool to both trigger attention and learn English? So from the student perspective, I can say that in practice, it is not desirable that the teacher maintain teacher-centered practices in a class that can be so rich in terms of peer interaction. Regarding speaking and listening, applications such as Vocaroo can get students to record themselves and give feedback on pronunciation to each other. Whereas in terms of reading and writing, it is very common that students elaborate a paragraph and have a partner to check for spelling and coherence and cohesion, which can be quickly made in Google Drive, and we have done it many times on the previous IEL courses. So I can say that I am not sure if I was just unlucky, but the first month of going to practicum, I did not see any meaningful classmate interaction. And now, from the teacher perspective, let's suppose that we are still in a virtual modality like in the pandemic. Uh, so let me go deeper. In words of where and or doubt, even online modality, uh, you can see interest in the interaction and interactionist perspective as a crucial methodology to teach students, as they can become conscious of grammatical forms and seek to understand and clarify each other's utterances. So in this sense, I don't know what to expect from a classroom that does not foster interaction at all, considering all the previous aspects that actually shape progress in an English class. Um, these are my bullet points that I took over the first month assisting to class, and you can read them anytime. These are what motivated me to do this topic of the research in the first place, and the limitations and disadvantages. Close questions, as you have taught us on class, may produce bias, um, are have a limited spectrum of answers, which go from saying A or B, yes or no, deciding the degree of likeness or interest upon the topic of the question, which you can see at the very end of the presentation with the exemplary questions I have developed. Um, and sometimes it is necessary that you include the other, as an option to answer, but it still will be a closed question. So you have the same limitations. As in the case of open-ended questions, data requires more time to collect. The autonomy given to students for answering might lead them to lose focus from the real subject matter. And this can be very difficult to analyze, as it demands time and enough knowledge to interpret the information and use it and give it purpose to your investigation. And to close this part, in comparison to other tools, Service lacks some of the richness found in interviews or focus groups. Nonetheless, open questions are an appropriate first approach to interacting with the participants of the study and can open the possibility to more richer tools and strategies such as focus groups and personal interviews. Before ending the presentation, I would love to deepen further on the qualitative and qualitative analysis part of the answers, but I have not had that experience yet. The knowledge is the knowledge. Sorry, so I cannot say much more than what I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. But it will surely be a limitation if the researcher, me, does not learn how to manage time and the tools that are required to interpret the information. And this is the ending of the presentation, basically. Now, this is the reference I have used. And the presentation, follows with the survey sample questions. I hope that you have understood and enjoyed the presentation of this third assessment. Thank you very much.